Charlotte was unbelievable. 24,000 fans just screaming.
Did you see that pass from Muggy Bogues?
At guard, number 1,
Welcome back to Bank of America Stadium here in Charlotte. First take on the road for NBA All-Star Weekend. Our next guest, one of the most popular players in Hornets history, the all-time franchise leader in assists and steals, Muggy Bogues, everybody. Give it up.
My hometown.
Yes, thank you for having us. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I want to start with Kemba Walker. I'm a huge UConn fan, my alma mater, so I've been watching him since college, and I feel like he's a bit underrated. If you were going to compare him to the other point guards in the league, who would you take ahead of him?
Who would I take ahead of Kemba? Of course, I have Stephen Curry and probably maybe Kyrie Irving. But other than that, I mean, Kemba has it all. He really does. He brings it every night. For a franchise of this magnitude, the way he go out there and perform night in and night out is unbelievable at his size. I mean, it's remarkable.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up because Michael Jordan has to keep this man. Wouldn't you say that?
Absolutely.
He can't lose this man. But the flip side to it is that unlike other franchises, because of the money that's generated in a market like this size or what have you, he's going to pinch Charlotte, unlike the Lakers would be pinched, and like the Knicks would be pinched or whatever. If you're Michael Jordan, what do you do when it comes to Kemba Walker, particularly since you know, as great as he is, you obviously need a hell of a lot more to win than just him?
Absolutely. I mean, you got to really go back to the drawing board and understand what your roster look like and what you possibly need and who you possibly can get rid of, who can move. You got some probably some expiring contracts coming up, and you got some contracts a little lucrative right now. So they got to kind of make some better decision in terms of who they're going to surround Kemba with. You cannot afford to lose Kemba Walker at this stage right now in the franchise.
I want to talk about you for a second, Muggsy, because like I used to see like Tiger Woods on the cover of the magazine, greatest athlete in the world, and I would think, oh, hold on a second. Let's take the NBA for a second. Like, I want people to understand the athletic ability of this man. If you took the percentage of people 6 feet tall in the world who play in the NBA, it's so small. It's like 1 out of millions. If you're 6 feet tall, you got a 1 out of millions chances of playing in the NBA. If you took a 6'6" guy, still very, very unlikely. Even 7-footers in the world, it's like, 10 or 15% chance you got it. You're 7 foot tall. If you're 5'3", you're 1 out of 7 billion. There's never been a guy your size who did it like that. Do you ever feel like when you were playing, like, do people understand that in a league that selects out for height, I'm getting real minutes on a playoff team, I'm dropping double-digit points a night? Did you ever think, like, pound for pound, I'm kind of the best athlete on earth? What did you ever, like, how did you view yourself?
Well, I was just in the moment. I would just want to be just like everybody else, playing the game, and just want to be accepted like everybody else. I didn't really think about trying to be the best. I just wanted to be included. Because, a guy my size, and, back then, it was all about big guards. Trying to break that barrier, we really had to really showcase our talent. We have different types of point guards that were small. We had Michael Adams, we had Spud Webb, and we had myself. We all had different styles. We all impacted the game a totally different way.
When you see Isaiah Thomas now, a couple of years ago, really getting it, do you feel a certain kind of pride, like the little man kinship? Like, look at him do that 25 points a night.
Absolutely. Him and Nate Robinson, when they was basically doing it, and when we had Earl Borkin at the time. I mean, people don't realize when I was playing, it was a little difficult. It was more physical. We couldn't have.
Why'd you say a lot difficult? We all know it's soft as cottonelle tissue today.
Because we had the big guys camped in the middle of that lane. We couldn't penetrate as much as you can today, but allow the guys to be a little more freedom, a lot more move, a lot around the court. That's why I see a lot more scoring.
Stay with me, because I got a couple of questions to throw in your direction. First of all, when I watched you, one of the things that is, you're going to smile when I say this. There was a guy in college at the University of Georgetown named Gene Smith, for example. Everybody was like, oh my God, this brother put you on lockdown. You came into the NBA, and it got to a point where brothers were scared to dribble the ball up the court against you, because obviously, because of your size, you had to neutralize guys off the dribble. Do you see anybody in today's game that can play defense close to what cats like yourself play?
No, and that's one of the things I've been alluding to.
Bledsoe?
Well, it's a little different. You know, I picked you up 94 feet.
That's right.
And I challenge your dribble every time you put the ball on the floor, even if I'm in front of you or if I'm in back of you.
Right.
And people didn't understand that. But today's game, the rules have changed. You can't hand check anymore. You know, you pretty much got to have your hands off. So guys are trying to contain guys as much as we possibly can. But you got to remember, these are the best players in the world. So hopefully we can get a little more competitive defense going on.
But doesn't it bother you that the NBA, I don't blame an NBA player today that tries to play defense. If you ain't a great offensive player, you're at a decided disadvantage because A, you got to give the ball to the cats who are great because that's what systems demand, which means you're trying to make a name for yourself defensively, but the rules that have been implemented strongly handicap anybody trying to play defense. What's your comment to that?
Well, and that's why I hope that referees or the committee can really go back to really look at what actually is successful, how guys really compete in this league. Because defensively, that's where it starts. If you can't allow the guys to have more of aggressive defensive stance and you giving more leeway to the offensive player, then you're always going to see the offensive player scoring and having more of an advantage at that regard.
But in all sports, though, the more offense you get, the more the fans like it. Like, to me, it's too much offense to me. Like, too much, it's shooting threes, paint threes, paint threes. It's less interesting and less dramatic, I think, than in the 90s when people seem to like it less. But it's more popular than ever. Why would they ever go back to that, Muggsy? They're not going to.
Well, the scoring is definitely entertaining, but the game of itself is not as substantive as it once was.
Who do you see in the league today you're like, that dude would have gotten his in my day? In that league.
Well, you mean LeBron could play in any era. Right. You can see a guy like that with that body structure and so forth, and as well as a Westbrook, I would think. You know, but again, you got so many talented players today, and I always say back in our era, we had so many superstars. You know, we got a lot of stars today, very few superstars.
So you're saying that there are people being called superstars that ain't superstars, they stars?
Well, I don't know who's been called superstars.
I'm not saying who. I'm not saying who. I'm not asking you to say who. I'm saying just based on that premise, people that we might label superstars, you're saying no, they stars.
Probably.
How about that?
Probably. Yes.
I'm just saying. I just need clarification.
Absolutely.
You know me,
yes.
Come on, man.
And we're going to keep it real.
That's right.
I mean, that's the way the game is. You got to call it where it is. And you got a lot of talented players that's playing this game today. Very exceptional. But again, the way night in and night out, some of the guys can't really carry franchises on a day-to-day basis.
Gotcha.
No question. Muggsy, it's a pleasure, and really looking forward to your documentary, Muggsy Bogues, Remarkable